One of the most widely read novels of the 1930s was Gone with the Wind. Who wrote this novel? Why was it so popular? Margaret Mitchell lived her entire life in Atlanta, Georgia. She was born into a wealthy family in 1900. Her father was a lawyer, and her mother was a suffragist who fought for women's rights. Margaret was a tomboy who preferred riding ponies over playing with dolls. When she was little, she would go riding nearly every day with a Confederate veteran. At the age of 6, Margaret's mother took her on a tour of many of the plantations that had been burned or otherwise destroyed during the Civil War. As a child, she also spent much time around uncles who were Civil War veterans and aunts who had lived through the conflict. These elderly relatives told her many stories about the war and how difficult those times had been. When Margaret was 22, she took a job as a journalist at the Atlanta Journal. Her family did not approve of this career, as they felt being a writer was beneath her status in society. She worked for the Atlanta Journal for 4 years, writing more than 200 articles. Then, in 1926, she was involved in an automobile accident which severely injured her ankle. While recovering, her husband encouraged her to write a novel. She continued to work on the manuscript for the next 10 years. Finally, in 1936, the novel was published. It was titled Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind tells the story of Scarlett O'Hara, the daughter of a wealthy plantation owner who finds herself in poverty in the aftermath of the Civil War. It's a coming-of-age story that details the struggles of Scarlett's life as she grows from adolescence into adulthood. The novel was immediately successful, becoming the best-selling book of both 1936 and 1937. People across America, especially women, were reading Gone with the Wind. It resonated with many who had experienced prosperity during the 1920s, but found themselves suffering in the midst of the Great Depression. In 1937, Mitchell received the Pulitzer Prize for fiction. 2 years later, the film version was released starring Clark Gable and Vivien Leigh. The film was a smashing success, setting box office records that would stand for decades. The novel would eventually be translated into more than 70 languages. Foreign audiences appreciated the story for its themes of love, war, class conflict, racial strife, and generational conflict, which are universal to the human condition. To this day, the novel is still loved and cherished by millions of readers throughout the world. It is thought of as one of the greatest American novels ever written, and a book that helped influence and shape the nation.